blessing like this. And my name is Lawrence Oyor, and by my side is my wife.
Glory. My name is Lua Darasimi
Glory
Oyor.
to God.
Glory to God.
Okay,
Hallelujah.
so this discourse is going to be
The title of this discourse is How We Met.
And we'll break it into a couple of headings to help you follow. But I think you should go first. There's a saying, they say ladies first. So
You want to
go
use that
first.
one?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. A few years into my university education, I heard about this supernatural move that was happening in UI from a couple of friends, lovely friends. They used to gist me about things that, go on in their school, as opposed to my school, which is private. So they were telling me about the move of God that was happening, that was so, interesting and wonderful and new. So they asked me if I knew Lawrence Oyor and his songs. I had no idea, but I've just, heard of him. And I remembered faintly that we were family friends, but we weren't close family friends, of course, ministerial friends. Father and mother, they're ministers, so definitely they'll mingle, So that was the first time I heard of him. And it just stuck to my mind, but I didn't think anything of it. So that was my first contact with your name. So tell me.
Okay,
What was the first contact with
my first contact with the idea was, I can't really say an exact day or year, but I just vaguely knew that my friends, which Dami and Joshua, had a younger sister. But like some of you are watching would agree with, she didn't seem to be as visible as her brothers. So I just knew that they had a sister. I'm not sure I knew what she looked like. I'm not sure I knew, anything at all. I didn't know anything about her. But I just knew that they had a sister. And then that was my idea.
That was your first idea.
So our first contact.
And now adjust anything you see, that's not exactly right.
Was when her mom, came to visit, a lady who was staying with us at the family house who just got wedded. And she just came to say hello to the lady. And
I happened to follow
she
my mom.
followed her mom. And so I saw her for the first time in the house. And I still remember my reaction. I was like, wow. Ladies are not usually that tall. Like, I have a way of feeling like I'm taller than. This lady was looking straight to my eyes. So I didn't know when it came out, like, wow, you're tall. That was the first thing I said, like, wow, you're tall.
I remember.
And it was just fascinating. Okay, the lady, finally, the younger sister of, my friends. She didn't come in anything, prepared to see any guests.
Trust me.
She was wearing, something like something you can just tag house dress simply.
House dress.
So it was just,
All that. Sure.
very interesting.
I'll say from my view. You say from your
So she just came in like hurriedly, like mommy wanted her to come in and just greet, and then she was done, and then she left, and that was it. That was my. Go ahead.
Okay, so at that time we were preparing for, youth service corps. I was preparing for NYSC. So that morning we were to go shopping to buy some few necessities. I had no idea that we were visiting anybody. I had no idea. So we got into the car. I literally remember that morning. I just wore something very hurriedly, got into the car, and then we took off. On the way, mom just said, "Let me branch." The branch where let me branch visit my friends, Ile Oyo. I thought I didn't hear well because that was my first contact. First time meeting mommy and daddy Oyo. So I felt that I'm not dressed, the way you dress, the way you be addressed. I'm not dressed to be addressed rightly. So I was like, God, I just said, they will not be around. I didn't even think of, I didn't think of him or his brother. I just got, I'm serious. So when we came in now, we really didn't see anyone. They said everyone had gone out. I was actually happy in my mind. How are you? Congratulations, I was about to leave. I actually got down, to also greet her, even before she told me to get down, I actually got down to visit to greet. Okay, how are you? Congratulations, so happy for you. And then he just came out of nowhere. I said, oh my God, I thought nobody would be around. And it happened to be Lawrence Oyor. So I was very calm. I was very collected. And the first thing she really said was, wow, you're tall. And I said, yes, I know. So he said, how is Dami? How is Joshua? How is everyone? Just I don't think we exchanged numbers that day. We got our numbers. I don't know how I got your number. I don't know how you got my number. So we just, talked very lightly, headed for NYSC, and then we left. That was our first contact. That was it. Yeah. So somebody, I believe it was him or probably his twin brother, I'm not sure, added me up to a WhatsApp group chat for Davidic minstrels. So I was a participant. I didn't say a word because, I was just there. Then they dropped a particular song. May Not Be Heard, the praying version. I think that was over 20 minutes long.
18 minutes.
18 minutes long. And I heard that. I cannot forget the night I heard it. I can still remember that night. It was such a very powerful song. And it was so beautiful and so charged that I just couldn't help myself. I picked up my phone and I chatted him up. And I said, this is a very powerful weapon against the enemy. I blessed him on my phone. And I said, God bless you. And he said, wow, thank you for the encouragement. Thank you so much. I think you gave me 2 thumbs up or something. 2 emoji thumbs up. Or I can't remember. So I just said, you're welcome.
I was thumbs up in my wife.
So I just said, you're welcome. And that was it. No further conversation. No further dialogue. So yes, I apparently chatted him up first. I chatted you up.
Technically.
I apparently did. Without expecting anything. I just blessed you. So I blessed you first.
She was really moved.
Yeah, I was really moved. I just had to bless him.
Reached out to say it was wonderful. Just
encouraged you, and that was it. Yeah. So yeah.
So I took note of that. I said
you did?
I like this encouragement. It's like okay, I'm just joking. So
yeah. So that was part of my first contact with him.
Yes, so I think that was one of the major times your person registered, in my head. And look at me forgetting the major thing that led me. I was on Instagram.
I was wondering when you would say it.
I was on Instagram, and so the idea of just him had been, just in my head somewhere. I didn't think she was, gang, like that, So people are thinking, I'm very carnal now. Yeah, I'm carnal. Just sit. I didn't think she was, I wasn't thinking in that direction at all, sincerely. Until one day, I was on Instagram, and I was, her picture came on my timeline. Brothers, take note. Anything can happen. And I saw her picture. God. I said, yeah, she's fine now. I still remember I still remember my thought. I was like, the girl is fine. What is wrong with me? What have I been doing?
Wow.
Sincerely, that was one of the major things. I was like, no. The earlier the better before anything happens. I was like, this baby is very fine. I assume other things are okay. She's beautiful. I like what I'm seeing. Check through other pictures to be sure that this is not a mistake.
No filters.
I said, this baby is fine now. So the thought registered in my heart that it would be a good idea, and it just kept on growing in my heart.
So the stage I was in, the period when we met, I just finished my university education, prepared for NYSC. I was at that stage where I was asking God, okay, God, what's next? What is in this place for me? Because we just found out that I was posted to Kebbi State. It was a very new land. Never been to the north before. Always in care and custody of my parents. So I was like, God, what exactly are you doing? And before then, I attended, Monzaun's retreats. And at that point, at that retreat, I was actually broken. I felt God's hands heavy. It was really heavy upon me, and it made me question lots of things about my life, about what I want to do in the future. It just brought reality to me. That from now, what is the next step for you? Do you want to keep going, with the norm, how everything is going, or you want something more, you want something different? So it was at that retreat that I actually surrendered. And that retreat was, I think it happened November to December, and I went to serve January. So at that retreat, I was broken. I gave everything to God. I literally remember my journal, and I was writing my heart out to God. I, related with the biblical character of David, who was a man after God's own heart. So I was just I tried to position myself in that character, and I was, telling God, I'm your David, I'm here, whatever you want me to do, wherever you want me to go. I didn't think it would be Kebbi though, but wherever you want me to go, no problem. I was just at that stage where I was like, God, here I was. So that was the stage I was in spiritually. Mentally, marriage was not anywhere close to my head. It was the last thing in my mind, like totally, like it was the last thing in my mind. It wasn't in my view at all. So physically speaking, yes, I was ready for it. I was getting ready for NYC. Academically, just finished university, said that already. So that was basically where I was. So where were you at that point at the stage for when we met?
Yeah. So basically, I had just come back from the US, a Bible program I had, and I was just going to fire on all over the nation, from secondary school, campuses to churches, just ministering the power of God all over the place, and put the woman topic aside for like a year. And once that year was over, and I began to take it seriously, because the more you're doing, the more of what you're doing, the more busy you get and the more impact you're making, it could get complicated, finding the right person, who will love you for the right reason. So I was just coming out of the relationship. I gave myself about a year to rest, focus on God, and just shut down everything that has to do with woman. And by the time 1 year was over, my brother was already about to get married, and I didn't have anybody in the picture. Being a twin, there's this subtle pressure. You just feel like, okay, I'm going to have to marry, and it didn't seem like there was, anybody in the picture. And so I started to intentionally, open my heart. And I will tell you, some people say they just had the voice of gas. I said, this is the person, gas goes whiz. And then they fired on and so on and so forth. Well, in my own case, we had a number of people that were in our lives that, I was asking God for direction on. One thing that stood out for me in that process was how our fear of not missing it can make life difficult, especially when it comes to discernment. I, like many of you watching, don't want to marry wrong, and that fear has been a singular reason for your probing and checking and double checking until what God planned for you has moved on. So basically, I was in that place where I didn't want to jump in again without being very, 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 very sure. And this time around, I am going to marry the person. So there's no... So basically, that's where I was. And I was praying to God, to show me of these people that are around me, who am I going to settle down with? And, I began to write a list of the relax now, not names. I wrote a list of, God led me to, I wrote a list of the different things that I wanted in my wife in order of priority. And among the list was somebody that I would like physically. I should emphasize that. Somebody that I would look at and, I'll find really attractive. And that's 1, 2. I mean, personal number 1, to help those of you with very, very spiritual minds. But I'm not joking about that at all. I was not going to play with that. I really wanted to like my wife. Okay, so they were wonderful people around me, really wonderful ladies, that were around me in the course of doing ministry. And I was really, really getting, confused, because we can only marry one wife. And
Wow, okay.
So, and that one wife you marry has to be the right wife, because you're going to marry her and be with her for a very, very long time. So that's a decision that you really have to take your time to make. That's where I was. Now, for for believers, I want to believe, for those who were raised the way I was raised and the way she was raised, when you say how we met, you're talking about how we got engaged. Not because your first contact or your first intentional statement was towards marriage automatically. Once I'm reaching out to you and I'm constantly reaching out to you, it means I want to marry you. I'm not trying to go out with you. I know those interesting words we use, date and or if I am chatting you up, and I'm telling you I like you, it's because I have plans to marry you. So on that note, the first thing that I had on my heart, or what led up to this list, because I had to write a list. What led up to this list was because we were already confused because of the number of people that were around us, and I wanted to make a decision and move on with the matter of marriage. And upon writing that list, my first item was capacity, because of the kind of ministry I'm running, my personality, and my dealings, my peculiar dealings. I knew that whoever I'm going to settle down with has to be somebody with capacity. And they say that the fruit does not fall far from the tree. I remember saying these words when I sat with, my in-laws, my wife's parents for the first time, because they asked me, why did you ask me, Lawrence? Why did you ask me? I remember that his voice. I said, because the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and what that means is I just had reasons to believe that she has watched, the process of her parents. I have an idea of what their process was like. Some of you saw it in the train. So she's watched and observed the process of her parents. She has watched and observed their faith. She has watched and observed the kind of life a minister who is sold out to God, is going to live. She has watched the example of her mother for, so many years. I just felt if at all I'm going to settle down with somebody, the person needs to have an idea. And for free, this one already has an idea of what it's going to look like. There's nothing surprising because of what she has seen over the many, many years observing, the faith of her parents. I was one. Should we take turns?
No, it's okay.
Like next one, okay. Number two.